Hey everyone, welcome to Dating Advice 7, where we have a couple that went on a road trip, but end quite badly. This next story is from our relationship advice.
My boyfriend wants to move in together, but after we went on a trip, I don't want to. How do I tell him? We have been together for 1 year, but have only spent 1 or 2 nights together continuously because we have busy schedules. My BF wants me to move in with him ASAP, and I told him I would in a few months, but we went on a trip and I saw a different side to him that I hate. My boyfriend has this hurtful habit of making offensive jokes, specifically about appearance. I feel bad saying this, but my BF is in no position to make comments about appearances. He's pretty overweight, but I don't care and have never mentioned it. He started making jokes about my arms being massive and like Popeye when I was getting ready for dinner. I got upset and started to cry. I felt so insecure. I'm very fit and muscular, and I'm always worried I look masculine, so it's a hurtful spot for me. When I started to cry, he walked out of the hotel and slammed the door behind him and said, "When you're ready, I'll be downstairs." We had a conversation where he told me he's pissed off that I'm upset, that I can't take a joke, and he's sick of having to watch everything he says around me. In the end, he promised me he wouldn't comment negatively on my appearance anymore. 2 hours later, we were looking at photos, and he says, "Wow, your makeup was actually effed up today." I was really bothered by his behavior on the flight back home. It was only a 5-hour flight, but he was ordering so much food, leaving mess everywhere. He left his AirPods and his suitcase in the overhead locker and expected me to get out and make a hassle and get them out for him. He wasn't even 100% sure they were in there. When I said I don't really feel like waking up the guy next to me to scramble looking for his AirPods, he rolled his eyes and turned his back to me. Here's the real kicker. The flight attendant was giving clear instructions to please buckle seatbelts and turn phones on flight mode, but my BF was blatantly ignoring her and trying to upload selfies on Instagram. I asked him if he could please listen to her, and he completely flipped and said, "Why do you have to piss me off all the time? You're not my mother. I'll do whatever I please. Don't tell me what to do." I was so embarrassed that he said that in public, so I snapped back and said, "Well, stop acting like a child then." My BF replies, "No, you're the child. You don't know anything." I just closed my eyes and tried to nap. I was holding back tears at this point. After 10 minutes, he tried to hold my hand and told me, "You know I love you. I'll always love you. My heart belongs to you." Throughout the trip, I just felt like everything was about what he wanted. On one of the days, I told him it's best if we do our own thing, to which he agreed. We were only apart for 8 hours, but he called me a few times, asking what I was doing. When we met up again, he told me he missed me and was worried about me. He was thinking about me the whole time. For me, it was the complete opposite. Without him, I felt peace. Despite all of this, my BF is always kissing me and cuddling me, telling me he loves me. When I went home after we got back from the trip, he said he's so sad to go home without me, and he wishes we lived together. But his behavior on this trip turned me off him completely. How do I tell him I don't want to move in? He's going to be hurt, I know it. TLDR, my BF and I plan to move in together in a few months, but his behavior on a trip was horrible, and I don't want to move in anymore. How do I tell him?
In my opinion, you should start thinking about the future, if this is your opinion now. And once you have your point, no matter what you need to do, we need to talk. This next story is from our relationship.
I'm alone in hospital 12 hours postpartum because my mom won't stay to watch my older children. Incredible disappointment. Should I express my feelings to her? I'll start by saying I know there are many mothers who don't have any support system and have to give birth alone because their partner was the only one available to stay at home and watch the older children. I just never thought it would happen to me, and it wasn't a part of my plan. I am so stressed and disappointed. My husband and I don't have a large village of help. My mother lives just 15 minutes from us and is the only nearby family member who can help watch our 2 older boys, a 3-year-old and almost 2-year-old. She rarely babysits for us, as we normally just use a sitter for date nights, but when she does, we only take the boys to her house. She is an extreme homebody and doesn't go anywhere but work and home. She's always been like this. When planning for the birth of our 3rd child, our original plan was for my husband's mom to drive 2 hours to our house and stay as long as needed for us to be discharged from the hospital. Unfortunately, Her mother's health declined quickly, and she had to fly out of state to be with her. So I turned to my mom, who reassured me that she would be there for us whenever we needed her. We even talked about her doing overnights at our house, and she seemed okay with this. I was immensely surprised but settled into the fact that my mom was going to be there for my toddlers. I should note that them going to her house wasn't an option because she doesn't have anywhere for the older child to sleep, and my younger one doesn't sleep well in a portable crib. My labor began at 9 p.m. on Wednesday, and my mom came right on over, so we could head over to the hospital. The next morning, she started texting me asking when my husband would be coming home. Because I gave birth in the middle of the night, and the earliest you can get released is 24 hours, that meant I wasn't going to be able to go home until Friday morning. She was saying, "I'm sorry. I'm dying here. I'll suffer through until he gets here." Since it's very important to my husband that he's here at the hospital with me and baby, we managed to organize some alternative childcare. My husband is going back home at 6 p.m. to relieve my mom. Our amazing sweet babysitter is coming over at 10 p.m. to sleep over so he can come back and be with me. But she has to leave for work in the morning, so he has to be back at home by 7 a.m. Then another family friend is able to get to our house at 10 a.m. so my husband can come back and pick us up at discharge. I know we're still lucky that we've managed to organize that much help. I just wish it didn't have to be so complicated. I have plenty of friends whose parents are so willing and even enjoy spending time helping out. I grieve for something I'll never experience. I am trying not to be too mad at my mom, it's just who she is as a person. I should be, and am, grateful for the help we've received from her. But it still hurts. I'm torn between leaving it alone because I know she won't ever change, or expressing my true thoughts and letting her know that I'm heartbroken over her saying she would be there for us, and then changing her mind. TLDR, my mom is too much of a homebody to stay at my house and watch my other kids while I'm in the hospital postpartum. She assured me that she would be there for when we needed her, and then changed her mind merely hours into being away from her house. I am heartbroken that I don't have the support system I always imagined having, but trying to be understanding because it's just who my mom is as a person. Not sure if I should talk to her about it or let it go. If you know your mom is like that, and talking to her won't change anything, it's best to leave it alone because you will only start a new problem if you talk. Maybe?
I just ended it with the girl I've been dating and feel awful. What should I do? I, 30M, have been dating a girl for the past 3 months. We met organically at a gig in the summer and we hit it off immediately. She was immensely fun and had a great positive aura and vibe. She was a knockout cute blonde too. I gave her my number and we dated for 3 months. It was so easy. She made me laugh. She was fun to hang around with, had an insatiable desire to do fun things and go on adventures. And yet all of that and it still wasn't enough for me? I can't for the life of me make sense of why I felt like I wouldn't love this girl eventually. Like I really liked so much about her, but I didn't like her. Like I couldn't see myself developing love for her. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. She is precisely my type of paper. I love blondes. She was hilarious. She was goofy. She enabled me to be my full authentic self. She was adventurous, interesting, and whimsy. I wanted nothing more than to feel committed to her. I wanted that feeling of, I won't care if this person comes home with purple hair. This is my person and I'm here for them. But it never developed. Why is that? Also feeling quite sad about the prospect of never meeting someone else who I kick things off as well as we did. It was a magical 3 months that was so easy. And now it's over. I'm going to bed to cry some more.
Sometimes love do take time to develop, but since you already ended the relationship, I think what past has to be just the past.
Why is dating so hard now? Sorry if I sound delusional. I know dating has always been difficult. But the tension between men and women has never felt so strong than it has now. And it worries me not just for myself, but the future. I feel like no one is willing to grow with someone and make something out of nothing. Everything feels like some weird game where the only goal has been reduced down to how well you can outdo or fool the other side. Just constant virtue signaling and manipulation. Social media is only making it worse by sending forth false narratives disguised as universal truths about both men's needs and women's needs and wants, as if the difference doesn't boil down to the same thing. It creates this massive cognitive dissonance that I just can't stand anymore. It's like people just assume the worst from both sides, constantly, and it's so exhausting because deep down we all just want to feel heard and loved in this lonely world. That's the whole point of a relationship, is to be with someone you feel understands you and cares for you. But that clearly isn't enough or valuable anymore. I'm not saying people should settle for less. I'm just saying people should be more reasonable and honest with not just themselves but others as well. I just needed to rant as a confused and frustrated. Like, even though I am quite young, 19M, I have been through many online and IRL relationships, and they just can never amount to anything due to distance, disloyalty, or just wanting to find someone better. It's that dystopian idea of people dating AI robots that perfectly fit our needs and personalities over humans, and it just seems like an eventual reality at this point. Whether that's a bad or good thing, I can't really say at this point.
I don't know, but that's the world we live in, and we have to accept it. Big thanks to everyone who watched to the end. I really appreciate the support. And please hit the subscribe button.